So UFC Fight Night, whatever it is, Cannonier versus Borralho in the Apex again. I'm going to do my full card predictions, early prelims till the main event, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card. And I might not give a breakdown for every single fight on the card, to be honest with you, because it's not worth it. Like, fight nights basically don't exist anymore. And it's pay-per-views or bust. And that's how the UFC is. So we're going to start with the early prelim opener of Cong Wang versus Victoria Leondardo. I'm going to go with Wang, no Jones. She'll probably win. She's undefeated. Victoria Leondardo's garbage. I don't know why she's still signed to the UFC. They cut fighters that lose at the top a few times, and they keep fucking fighters like that. So I'm going to go with Cong Wang. Victoria Leondardo's garbage. We move on. Up the card, Josiane Nunes versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm going to go with Josiane Nunes, just because I think she's a bit too strong for Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti looked good in her last fight, but she made it. She went decision with Zara Fan and went to a decision with Melissa Croden. These are awful fighters. Josiane Nunes is... Just look at Josiane Nunes and look at Jacqueline Cavalcanti and tell me who's going to dig deep. Like, you know what I mean? Who looks in the mirror every morning and thinks, fucking hell, I need this. I need UFC wins. I need to win. It's not Jacqueline Cavalcanti in comparison to Josiane Nunes. So I'm going to go with Josiane Nunes. We move on. Up the card. Jose Medina versus Zachary Reese. This is an interesting matchup. Not really, though. Jose Medina's not UFC level. He's garbage. And Zachary Reese is way better than him. Medina shouldn't be signed. Shouldn't be in the fight. I don't know why he's in the UFC. They've just really, really short-noticedly slapped together this card. This guy lost on the Contender Series last year in October. Hasn't done anything since. Went to a split decision with a 4-2 opponent before that. Beat an 11-23 opponent before that. Got fraud checked earlier in his career by a 9-8 opponent after beating a 6-9 opponent and a 5-7 opponent. Zachary Reese is actually somewhat talented and he's a really nasty finisher in the first round, so I'm going to sign with Zachary Reese. He's a good finisher. Other than being slammed on his head out of a submission that was basically locked in against Cody Brundage. He's looked pretty good in his UFC fights and in his Contender Series fights. So he's got good submissions off of his back. And he's got good ability to get TKOs on the feet. So what are we doing? I'll go Zachary Reese. Honestly, yeah, Contender Series is better than UFC Fight Nights. Outside of like main events, like saving them, because they're like top 10 ranked guys. Contender Series is genuinely like somehow, I don't know how, but better than, because at least you know Contender Series is like regional guys. But we're in the UFC and these are all like, it's like an LFA card and I'm not exaggerating. This is a notable fight. Viacheslav Borsshchev versus James Llontop. I was very disappointed by James Llontop in his debut. I thought he got a little bit fraud checked. He had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. He got put away by Chris Padilla pretty easily. Choked out. He beat some good opponents on the regional scene here and there. Will I go with the consistency before his last loss of James Llontop? Or will I go with Borsshchev? You know what? Yeah, I'm just not picking skinny fat fighters anymore. Because you never really know what's going to happen. And I just don't want to pick skinny fat fighters anymore. So it's going to be a stand-up fight. I don't see Llontop exposing the ground game of Borsshchev. I don't see Borsshchev exposing the ground game of Llontop. It's hard because Borsshchev just got absolutely destroyed by Chase Hooper. I'll go Borsshchev. I think he's better. Better on the feet. And it's going to be a stand-up fight probably. So I'll trust in Viacheslav Borsshchev. TKO. Late. Maybe a decision. 29-28. Scrap. Fight of the night. Type fight. I'll go with Borsshchev. Hooper's pretty good at grappling, so. Yeah. We move on. Up the card. Denis Buzukja versus Francis Marshall. I'm like bringing myself together to do these. And it's like UFC has no respect for their fan base. So Marshall's been dominated by Bulgarian, destroyed in a round. Lost to William Gomez by split decision, but nothing happened. So it was kind of like a non-fight. Marcelo Rojo's actually a pretty good win. Denis Buzukja's pretty good. He trains at a good gym. I know he trains with Aljo and them ones there. Who should I go for in this one? Don't know. I'll go with yeah. I'll go with Buzukja. Maybe. Trust that he's from a bit of a better gym. So, yeah, I'll go with him. Francis Marshall's from like a gym that's built around him. Whereas Buzukja's like, he gets work in with like some really good opponents. Like Marab and Aljo. And I've already said it. Yeah, I'll go with him. Plus a win over Conor Matthews ain't bad. Conor Matthews was seen as a bit of a prospect, but not really. But we'll see what happens. This is just going to destroy my algorithm. Like, it's getting to the point now where doing fight night predictions is bad for my channel. So I'm going to keep doing them now. I'm going to go with Buzukja. Yeah. We move on. Up the card. Oh, Edmen Shahbazyan versus Gerald Meerschaert. Okay, there's some decent fights. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Edmen Shahbazyan over Gerald Meerschaert. I think Edmen's way better than Gerald. Fucking hell, I'm so lightheaded. I think he's way better than Gerald. I just used all my energy for the Aspinall video, and now I've got to do this shit. Basically a humiliation ritual once a week that the UFC's got fight predictors doing. Oy. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Edmen Shahbazyan. So, Edmen's way better. He's way more talented. Meerschaert's getting old. Edmen just destroyed Barberena. Or Meerschaert just beat Barberena, but didn't look all that great. Other than that, he's lost a few. Looked good against Andre Petroski, but Petroski KO'd himself on someone's hip. So, I'll go Edmen Shahbazyan. He smoked AJ Dobson, smoked Dao Chilungi-Mbula. Had a tough one against Hernandez, but Hernandez is really, really good. Yeah, I'm going to go with Edmen Shahbazyan. I think he's way more talented on the feet than Gerald, and I actually think this is actually recipe for a first round KO for Edmen Shahbazyan. So that's what I'm going to go for. First round KO, Edmen Shahbazyan over Gerald Meerschaert. We'll see if I'm correct. We move on. Up the card, Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. Now, I never picked Neil Magny. I picked whatever that Canadian guy's name was, Mike Mallet, over Neil Magny. And I shouldn't have done. I said I feel like I'm going to regret this because Mallet has not been proven. Like, he fought absolute cans. And then they just gave him Magny. And he still fumbled it. And he was still winning. So it's just like, he was still dominating the fight. Like, even though he didn't look great, he landed good low kicks. Magny doesn't check low kicks. Mallet was on top position a lot. Held him down quite easily. I think Morales is going to be able to stuff the takedowns if Magny wants him. And I think Morales is way better on the feet than Mallet. So, even though he doesn't have maybe as much KO power, Neil Magny's fucking done out. I like Neil Magny as a fighter. He's game. He shows up. But I just think he's done, man. I don't rate it. Him as a fighter. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I don't rate him as a fighter anymore. I think once he was really good. Or okay and decent and ranked level. But now, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of dumb to pick Neil Magny to win a fight. You know, he's only getting older. He just pulled out of a grappling match. He fought in January. He's back now in August. He stays reasonably active, but 37 years old. Morales is really talented, young up-and-comer. So I'm going to go with Michael Morales. He beat Jake Matthews. I think that's a decent win. Max Griffin is a decent win. I know also Magny beat Max Griffin, but varying levels of performance between the two of them. So, yeah, I'll go with Michael Morales. I'm going to go with Michael Morales here. I reckon he gets this one done. Good stand-up, good range. Probably attack the low kick. Neil Magny doesn't check low kicks. Never has, never will. Never. No matter how many times he gets shown that he needs to. Never. So, yeah, I'll go Michael Morales. How old's Michael Morales? What, 24, 25? He's 25, yeah, I'll go with him. We move on. Ryan Loder versus Robert Valentin. You know what, yeah, I'm going with Robert Valentin and I don't care. Ryan Loder's a really good prospect. He's got really good wrestling credentials. He looked good on tough. He's got good grappling. I think Valentin's a better finisher than him. I'm going to say it. I think Valentin is the kryptonite to these type of, like, not wet blanket guys, because Ryan Loder does destroy people, although they are extremely low level. He beat Leon Shahbazyan, which is a pretty good win. Which is actually the brother of Edmen Shahbazyan. It's not. I don't actually think it is. It actually might be. I actually think it is. They don't look alike, but it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Robert Valentin. I like Robert Valentin. I don't know if anyone else has been watching Tough, but I think he's got his head screwed on right. I think he's a really fun fighter to watch. Finishes from anywhere. He's got like wicked elbows, nasty elbow KO immediately into the first fight he had on Tough, and then after that he latched up a nasty submission. Sometimes he gets a bit risky on the feet, but he's a middleweight. I don't think Loder's gonna catch him coming in with like a beautiful counter shot. So I'm gonna go with Robert Valentin. I think he's a more diverse finisher. I think his jiu-jitsu is extremely underrated, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he's been like pro since 2016. 8 years a pro. It's pretty impressive. He's had some losses in that time, but seems to have really found himself at 29 years of age. So I'm gonna go with Robert Valentin. Plus, he's he trains with some good guys in Switzerland. Like, he trains with Ozdemir, which is a decent training partner, like a really good training partner. They've actually made some pretty good Swiss fighters. You know, they trained Marko Kovacevic, who is a really good regional MMA fighter. I don't know if he's still going now. He is, and he's actually coming off a win right now. He actually went to a draw with Charrier upper weight class, which I thought was very impressive. So it's a decent gym, even though it's not really one that's known about. I'm gonna go with Robert Valentin over Ryan Loder. Ryan Loder's a good fighter. He's got a good style. He's a good wrestler. Usually that style works, but I think that Valentin's the type of guy to latch up a sub out of nowhere, get a guillotine, get a das, knock a guy down and latch up a sub. So, yeah, I'm going to side with Robert Valentin. Finishing potential. For sure. I'm going to go with him. I like Robert Valentin. He's based. We move on. Angela Hill versus Tabatha Ricci. Co-main event. I want to go maybe Tabatha Ricci because I know they don't like giving decisions to Angela Hill, but I think Angela Hill's a way better fighter than Tabatha Ricci. So I'll go with Angela Hill. Is she an underdog? It could be fun. If she's an underdog, it could be quite fun. Let's check. There's evens. Yeah, I'll still go with Angela Hill. I don't see her getting held down. Ricci just lost to Tisha Pennington as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Co-main event, you know. Angela Hill. 2024. You got Michael Morales on the card. Robert Valentin on the card, and you got Angela Hill in the co-main event. Probably paying her like 200 grand to show as well, which is crazy. Just a fucking self-destructive dog shit company of misery and woe. And as much as Dana White likes to say, I'll never bow to the woke mob, he does it every fight night. It's dog shit. I think we just got another Nami Yunus main event as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, just an embarrassment of a company. Fucking embarrassment. I'm going to go with Angela Hill. Yeah. I think she's pretty good. I think she's actually somewhat top level. What's she been up to recently? Yeah, I'll go with her. She just got a finish. She beat Denise Gomez, which I think is a very good win because Denise Gomez is, you know, questionable. Let's just say. So I'll go with Angela Hill. Decision. We move on. Caio Borralho versus Jared Cannonier. This is a good one. Now, Borralho's an interesting one because Cannonier is very good with his takedown defense, typically. But Borralho isn't a guy that really tries to lay on, like, he'll try and get the back. That's what Borralho does. It's not like a takedown to try and hold you down and stall out around. Because when people try and do that to Cannonier, he gets back up and then they end up gassing and then he beats them. But people can get to Cannonier's back. He does a lot of, you know, keeping his hips high, but he's short. And he gives up his back quite a bit. I'm actually quite struggling to make this one, guys. I'll probably be up to date tomorrow or the day after, but Cannonier gives up his back quite a bit. He actually ends up giving up his back quite a lot, trying to break the grip. And I could see Borralho trying to drag him down against the cage and putting hooks in and securing things that way. I also don't like that, even though Cannonier was an early stoppage, I don't like that he's sort of turning around this quick. I'm actually like the opposite of John Jones. I really don't like men turning around this quick. And Jared Cannonier is 40. I know why he's making the turnaround, because he wants to get right back on track. But this is just over 2 months later, and he did get really badly wobbled and nearly put out. And if they did let it keep going, he probably would have got finished. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, but I'm going to have to go with Borralho here, guys. I'm going to go with the younger Borralho, who's not 40, 31, in his prime, fighting out of Fighting Nerds, which is a really great gym right now. Just smoked Paul Craig, but that's easy. Everyone does. And other than that, he's had, like, listen, even though he hasn't had great performances here and there, he's always winning, which is really impressive. Like, consistently winning fights. Got into the UFC, beat Omar Gadziev, beat Petrosian, beat Muradov, beat Alexijuk. Close fights with Muradov and Petrosian, but beat them. Beat Alexijuk, finished him. Shara Magomedov didn't. And I know it's, you know, he's not a grappler, Shara Magomedov, but still. He put a statement on there, finished Mikhail Alexiejczuk, you know, beat Abbas Magomedov. I think that's a pretty good win, and Abbas showed up for that one. And then just smoked Paul Craig, and he's having a turnaround after that. So Cannonier's having a quick turnaround after Imavov put him on skates and basically nearly finished him. And Borralho's having a quick turnaround after his most impressive performance and biggest win. So momentum-wise, I'm going to have to go with Borralho, I think. I think he's got decent stand-up that's improving. Sometimes his chin's a little higher. He's a lot taller than his height is listed at. I think they have him listed at about... What did they have him listed at? Now they have him at 6'1". I think they had him at 5'10". Early on in his career, which was really weird. So, but yeah, I like the Fighting Nerds. I'm team Fighting Nerds. Gene Silver, Borralho. Who else is on the Fighting Nerds? God, there's a lot of fighters even on the regional scene. You know, Carlos Prates is on the Fighting Nerds. You know, they got Moises, not really living up to the rest of the team's success right now, but they got a really good team. So I'll trust in their new wave. And their new wave is Borralho. And I'm going to trust in Borralho. Decent stand-up, powerful, not afraid, very confident, in the smaller cage, fast starter, gets in people's faces. Cannonier likes to pick his shots. And Cannonier's fucking 40 years old, man. So I'm going to go with Borralho. I reckon he'll be able to get the back in moments. And I reckon he'll be able to win this fight. I say actually get it done by choke. Rear naked choke. Get in the back of Jared Cannonier. I think Cannonier does a lot of that. He does a lot of sort of stuffing a takedown and ending up, you know, with his hands on the ground and his, I don't even know the position it is, but he's doing like one of these, you know. Just use this comb to sort of indicate what I mean. Like a clothes horse. Like he ends up like that quite a bit. You know? And then I think if he does that, because his legs are longer than his arms, then Borralho's going to get a hook in here. And then another hook in. And then Cannonier will try and sort of get up against the cage. And then Borralho will get the other hook in. And then once he gets the other hook in, he'll probably start punching and that. And I reckon it'll be quite dry when he gets these hooks because he doesn't, you know, he doesn't wait to go for his takedowns. He's actually got really good entries. And I see talent in Borralho. That's all I'm going to say. That's the best way to describe it. Sometimes you just see talent in fighters. And Borralho's one of those fighters. I think he's talented and he's got the lizard brain to sort of lock in and zero in come fight time. So I'm going to go with Borralho. Fighting Nerds, baby. Let's go all the way to the top. See you later. Goodbye.